Welcome back, everybody, to our second semi-final for the SEA League. The winner of this match moves on to face Neolution Orange, and the winner of that match will be the first place winner. Total of $1,500 available in prizes for these SEA teams. I'm LD of Beyond the Summit, and I have the rare pleasure to be joined today by one of the members of LGD International, a well-known Dota player in the European scene for many years. He is Misery.
Keeper of the light.
Hello there.
Hi, Misery. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm trying to fix this audio. I'm hearing two LDs.
If you go into your Dota settings, go to audio options, and then there's a mute co-broadcasters button at the bottom left.
Yeah, I see. It works now.
As much as I feel I'm so important, you should hear me twice. It's probably a little bit confusing. So Misery, great to have you here. I'm very excited to hear your insights. I'm curious, how much do you guys play the Southeast Asian teams? Because from what I heard, you mostly just play against other Chinese teams.
Yeah, we've mostly played against Chinese teams. We played against MUFC a few times, and N9 a bit, and Orange a few games too, but that's pretty much it.
So have you been following the Southeast Asian teams at all, the way they draft, their play style, or not really?
Not at all. I came home 2 days ago from a vacation in Thailand, so I haven't really seen any Dota for like 3 weeks.
Are you ready to get back on the horse, or are you kind of easing into it?
Yeah, of course I am. I've heard there's coming some kind of fashion with PL and Kotl and stuff like this. So I'm looking forward to see what new stuff.
Yeah, it's actually largely due to the G League. At least that's what I believe, and it seems that most people agree. You know, ever since that game. Oh, I think it was when DK started picking it in the G League. They had that ridiculous, like, 90-minute game with the Shadow Demon on the enemy team, and Birding's PL was super, super fat. It was against LGD China, actually. I'm guessing you probably watched it. Yeah, ever since that game, all of a sudden PL's all the rage in North America and Europe. But we didn't actually see him that much in the G League. It was really just a handful of games, but it's been a real trend here.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think still it's a really strong hero. I also remember we practiced with it a few times. It didn't really suit our playstyle that well. It kind of requires that you go for some kind of late game oriented style, but yeah, it's definitely a strong hero and it's super hard to play against.
Can you talk more about why you don't prefer that? Like, what's the thought process behind like we want to have a very aggressive early game style?
I don't really know exactly why. We just feel like that's the strongest way of playing the game right now. If you apply pressure all the time from minute 1 to like the first 10 minutes, if you apply pressure everywhere, then you're going to get advantage. And with advantage, it's much easier to play. And with advantage, you can basically win the game really fast.
You see the field clearer, the sky is bright, the sun is out, and
exactly.
All your decisions are just a little bit more polished.
Exactly.
So, as far as this draft goes, we actually see a Nyx that slips through the draft, and it was a Darkseer first pick, a Keeper of the Light Nyx response. Very unusual. I was actually surprised that we even saw Nyx as much as we did in G League, but pretty much Nyx Batrider seems to be auto-ban material for whoever has second pick, but in this case, he slips through.
Yeah, it's basically, like, on the paper, you would always say that probably Nyx and Batrider, maybe Darkseer and some other heroes should be banned out, Mag, stuff like this. But when you come down to like real LAN games, you start banning anti-mages and lone druids and stuff like this because actually they are probably more important to the teams than these other heroes are. You can make a trade-off between the in quotation imbalanced heroes and just ban out the annoying late game heroes you don't want to play against.
And they're kind of like comfort heroes, right? Like a hero like Anti-Mage or Lone Druid, especially for, I don't know, you take Birding, for example. Sure, maybe there's a hero that would fit better in terms of their strategy in the abstract, but you got to perform on LAN, and it's easier to perform with certain heroes, is what you're saying.
It's a safe way of playing, right? It's like you pick Anti-Mage, and then you're secured, you know they don't get Anti-Mage, and you know that if you fuck up just a bit, you will still have the Anti-Mage to like carry late game or whatever. It's just a safe way of picking.
So let me ask you, as we look at the
seconds
draft
remaining.
now, first departure, they got the Darkseer and the Shadow Demon, then they went back for the Anti-Mage, so they ensure that they have all the heroes that can create extra illusions of Anti-Mage on their side. It looks like they're turtling, going for a bit of split push. Nyx Assassin can be one of the best heroes in the game to deal with that. Also, Shadow Fiend can be, if he gets that early Shadow Blade up. I'm curious what build he'll go for. We saw Mushi go for a quick BKB, but I feel that early Shadow Blade on carries is very strong. I know there was at least one game where I believe Pycat ran it with you guys, and it just creates a lot of pressure on the supports around the map, especially with the Nyx.
Yeah, basically this Shadow Blade is
10
it's
seconds
become really
remaining.
good actually after the buff. I think it's actually a
5
bit
seconds
underused
remaining.
still. I mean, at least when you're playing matchmaking, you see at least 2 or 3 Shadow Blades every single game. And just, the item is just really strong, and I feel that the best way of playing Shadow Fiend is, at least if you have a decent start, is to go Shadow Blade into BKB or Manta or whatever.
Yeah,
Shadow Blade does so much for you.
I wonder what we're going to see with the rest of the draft, because first departure, the one thing I'm noticing they're lacking is any sort of actual stuns. They have Disruption, they have Demonic Purge, they have Vacuum, they have yet to pick up a stun, and there is actually a
10
lean on the
seconds
Leshrac in the pool.
remaining.
And they are going to go
Yeah,
for
that's
Leshrac
right.
here.
Zenith's turn to pick.
What country are this first departure team? Where are they from?
They're actually both from Singapore. First Departure is kind of a lesser-known team, but they placed second in the last Gosu Cup Asia. I believe it was only to Zenith, or maybe it was Orange. Basically, they're an up-and-coming team who's been doing really well lately. They played against the same Zenith team 3 times in the Flash Dota 2 League. First Departure took one of the series, Zenith took the other 2, but it was very back and forth the whole way.
Fire team
And
pick.
Zenith going for the OD
Fuck
here.
happened. OD.
So I guess it's not really clear who First Departure's even said he mid at this point. I could be the Darkseer, but we'd also expect
yeah,
him to
they
go
could-
off lane.
They could pick a last hero and solo anti-mage somewhere and then try lane offensive with Axia. We did that a lot of times. It's super strong. Creates so much pressure on that lane.
Yeah, generally the style of
10
First Departure
seconds
is split
remaining.
push. That's really what they prefer, and I imagine it's why they went for the early anti-mage here.
5 seconds
And
remaining.
on the side of Zenith, they have quite a few heroes to deal with the anti-mage. Obviously, Shadow Fiend with his high physical damage is good against a hero that relies on Spell Shield.
5
So too is the
seconds
Outward
remaining.
Destroyer. But Zenith is very level and farm dependent, and I wonder if that'll hurt them. Is this an
Zenith's turn to
offensive tri-lane with the Shadow Demon, Leshrac +1, Sand King perhaps?
Yeah, probably thinking. I think that should be it. And then safe lane anti-mage and Daxia mid.
And who's actually going to lane against the anti-mage? They don't really have anyone who's an obvious candidate yet. In fact, they have nobody.
Well, they could be smart and think, okay, they're gonna do this, and then just place some dual lane up there maybe, and just place a
10
solo
seconds
against
remaining.
the tri lane that just doesn't die, you know. Just
5 seconds remaining.
I don't know. We'll see what they pick, but they have.
Weaver.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
A solo that won't die. It's the Weaver.
It might be that, or it might be offlane Weaver against the anti-mage.
I'm actually going to have to do a little bit of profile checking here, because these guys just refuse to use their real names for the most part. I think this is Ice 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 on the Nyx Assassin. Or no, that's Ice on the Nyx Assassin, formerly of Orange. We have X Freedom on the Keeper of the Light, Ice 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 on the Weaver, XY on the Outward Destroyer, and then who am I missing here? Alright, I think I actually got all that. See, these guys troll me. I asked them to change their names, and then they changed their names to Eyes, Ice, and Ice, just to make it worse. And ever since, it's been the same.
Yeah, let's just use the hero names maybe.
And, well, oh, you're definitely not Maruna. Let's see if we can fix that. Alright, we should be good to go. So, quickly, we'll introduce the teams, guys. This is the SEA League. It's a best out of 3 between Zenith and First Departure. Again, I'm LD. He's Misery from LGD International. And on the side of First Departure, the challengers, the upstarts, we have the Shadow Demon being played by KSC. Early Sentries and Smoke both picked up, and they could go for a lot of roam ganking if they want. PTZ on the Darkseer. Misery, apparently they can't hear you
Yeah,
in Dota
I
TV.
really-
Just try... for the enable open mic, you want it to be set to the left, and you should see a green bar moving when you talk.
Yeah, I see the green bar,
And
and I
What
see.
you can try doing is dragging the threshold to the left if people can't hear you. So maybe drag it like a quarter of the way or something and see if that helps.
Yeah.
And just continue to introduce the players. We have Miracle, who has not been pulled at all, but he's starting with the Poor Man Shield. And
30
Lubby on the
seconds
Sand
to
King.
battle.
WKZ on the Leshrac, rushing a bottle. So actually going to see a solo farming Leshrac this game. Or maybe a dual lane, but anyway, a farming Leshrac.
Yeah, that's interesting actually. I haven't seen that for a while.
That's something that Orange did a lot of at the International. Yamate, often on the safe lane, they'd run the dual lane Leshrac Sand King. It's kind of faded out of popularity lately, though. Well, for a while, actually. Over on the side of Zenith, we have Ice, Ice, Ice on the Weaver. He's always known for his shenanigans. XY on the solo mid, Outward Destroyer. Just 100 gold on the bank. We'll see X Freedom on the Keeper of the Light. Observer Ward already placed towards the bottom rune. And a nice rune, a nice ward here from Zenith as well. Very difficult to deward that one. It still gives you some good vision of any roaming. And then we have Ice on the Nyx Assassin. And Yamate playing his Shadow Feed. Oh boy, this one's a classic.
Yeah, excuse me, I'm just trying to fix the sound. I don't know if it works in-game now.
Actually, let me try unmuting you, and you can try talking. We'll see if I can hear you.
Okay.
Not hearing you.
Not hearing me, alright.
I'm also not hearing myself. That's interesting. Okay. Okay, I can see myself now. I don't hear you, though. Oi, oi, oi. And you see the green bar moving and everything when you talk?
I see the green bar and yeah, in the what's it called, the options, but I don't see myself like in the game.
Okay, I hear you now. You're just a little bit quiet, so make sure that threshold's all the way to the left, I guess. And I'm gonna mute you now since I can hear you. Hopefully that fixed it. And I can oh no, I can't see myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm good. Hopefully they can still hear you. But there was a first blood top. The offlane Weaver, there's a sentry replaced. They caught him with the disruption, followed by the burrow strike, and that Shikuchi is a very long cooldown at level 1, so they're able to get the kill.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much Weaver's gonna do, since they do safe lane, tri lane. He's gonna have a really hard time.
And one of the issues with this lane is Anti-Mage can just zone the Weaver out once he gets even the tiniest bit of farm. Like,
yeah.
And Weaver can't really do anything about it. So they don't even need the supports here for that.
Yeah, whenever he gets a ring or Tranquil or whatever he chooses to go for, the Shadow Demon King can just leave the lane, and Weaver will still be level 1, basically. He will still have a super hard time.
They are getting some good trades. Keeper of the Light stacking quite a few jungle camps. Already the Nyx is up to level 2. So they're at least getting these supports that need quite a bit of levels and that can farm well. Something good. And Yamate is getting free farm. XY is getting a lot of farm, so maybe it's a decent trade-off.
I think it could be a really good trade-off, actually. If Shadow Fiend gets a really fast Shadow Blade, and they get fast 6 on Nyx, they can really shut down the Anti-Mage farm.
And if he wants to be split pushing, which he does, almost certainly, because that's just the way First Departure plays, and that's what most Anti-Mage players have done lately.
But I don't even think he's gonna get his Battle Fury in time if they do it correctly. Like Shadow Fiend free farms, and then he gets level 7 or something, and go farms the stacks. And then he should have Shadow Blade. And Shadow Blade is much cheaper than Battle Fury. So. And
also, like you mentioned, having the Nyx is level 6 too, so they just get the stun off, and then you can easily burst them down with a couple of auto attacks and a few raises. It seems like it is fixed now, so that's good. Thank you for fixing that. And well, very, very passive play right now, so I guess it really comes down to the trade-offs and the efficiency of each team. Anything standing out to you right now?
Well, like you said, it's really passive. I don't really like this way of laning it safe lane. We don't play like that, at least, and I don't know. Safe lane Dota versus safe lane is just
very boring.
It's very boring. It's you don't apply pressure anywhere. It's just how can your offlane do it, you know?
It's like who can be the greediest? I mean, there's been like this arms race in European Dota recently. If you've watched any of the games, where it's got to the point where like I've seen teams just starting with gloves on their carry and just no regen, no stout shield or anything. Just get the fastest possible Midas. I know Loda is a huge fan of that.
Yeah, we had that as well in like maybe 3 weeks or something before G League. Everyone started doing that, just rushing that Midas. And on Lunas or on Tiny or whatever, any hero basically on safe lane farming.
Here comes the smoke gank mid.
Yeah.
This OD he always has Astral Imprisonment, so he's kind of a pain. You got to really time the initial stun properly, or he can dodge a bunch of it. And the question is, do they have anyone who could TP in and really help him?
Should die now. He's fucked.
Yeah, there's the disruption and the soul catcher. The burrow strike to follow. Can't even cast the Astral in time. Down he goes. So early movement, and it goes back to anti. He is taking quite a bit of harassment now, but he's got the Ring of Health. They may just need to
Dire's
ferry a
bottom
salve or two
tower
here and there,
has
but...
fallen.
Oh, wow, Miracle. Taking a little more damage than he should. And Yamate already got the tier 1 bottom. He's up to power treads. Well, he's not rushing the Shadow Blade, but I'm very curious. I really feel he should be going for it as his next
I
big item.
think I think he will. At least I think he should too. He's gonna have it really fast. He's gonna have it around 10 minutes with treads if he's uncontested.
So the Darkseer has been sitting bottom. He has not really been able to stop the push right now. Nyx is only level 3, but we expect with these stacks from the Coddle that he's going to get a lot of experience, as well as just the pulls in general. And he's going to go... what is he doing? I guess he's trying to set up the blast for multiple creeps. Not really sure.
But I feel like, you know, if you look at the Parcher's lanes, I feel like if they had gone offensive tri-lane with I don't know about the sinking pick, but like Leshrac, Shadow Demon, and Daxia against Nyx, Coddle, Shadow Fiend, they wouldn't be able to do anything. They would win that lane really easily, and Anti-Mage would have a fairly decent time against Weaver if he was pulled some region. And then it's a like one-on-one mid lane Obsidian versus any kind of hero they would pick.
Yeah, and even though they've killed off Ice twice, he's already level 4, so he's still getting a lot of levels. He should be... Oh, he's just able to get away. The Disruption catches him at the last moment. And 2 more auto ticks. One more, actually. Down he goes.
Sure, he is level 4, but you have to remember that it's a Weaver. You know, it's not really that scary of a hero.
Yeah, he's not getting the farm, and it's not like he comes out with a Roar or a Ravage when he hits level 6. Well, they are... The one downside to the OD mid, he's pretty gankable if he doesn't use his Astral Imprisonment at the right moments, or if he just gets caught by Chain Stun, so the Ward Wars begin. And it seems that First Departure getting the better of it. A secondary Sentry award this time. 2 Sentries. The Observer will drop, but the net result is no real vision for Zenith either. They have 1 more Observer. I'm curious if they're going to drop it here again. Might place it in a different spot.
What is actually really good. It's really... unpredictable. I remember Chinese teams started doing this too because you always dewarded mid lane. Then they just started placing it on their own hill, you know, like this ward right there you see in mid lane.
Yeah, and we saw sort of a similar one over on the Dire side where it sees a lot of the movement from the enemy safe lane.
It actually sees what you need to see. It's maybe not exactly the same, but it's still really useful.
And we've also, I've been casting with Winter a lot, and he keeps on talking about the lane wards. Because they sort of start, you know, they used to start off like right near where the river is, and nowadays we see them like way past the river. Like I'm looking at the top lane, you know, it's like basically to where the creeps basically turn and start going south. Yeah. So the ward wars.
Yeah, that's also.
Like, turned
and
into
the ward
mind
wars is in mind exactly. Like I remember also these games, you know, you go offensive tri lane, you have sentries, and you just know they will have a ward in the lane, so you just place it like up here or whatever, you know, they will have a lane, or somewhere in the lane. It will always.
Yeah, so you just have to get creative with it. Oh, he is getting close to that Shadow Blade though, and he's neck and neck with the Anti-Mage for net worth. And the difference between the Shadow Fiend and the Anti-Mage is the Shadow Fiend can just go and kill people once he gets the Shadow Blade, whereas the Anti-Mage only if they are out of position or make a mistake.
Yeah. Wonder if he's actually going for Shadow Blade. He still hasn't bought anything.
And maybe it's just biding his time, gonna wait and see how the game goes. Nyx is still not level 6. Keeper of the Light's been doing most of the stack farming, whereas the Nyx has been doing the pulling. But he's getting pretty close. And even the solo mid Leshrac is very vulnerable to those Nyx ganks, and we don't see any sentries in the lane right now. Looks like there's actually a Radiant Sentry ward to make sure there's no vision in the lane. So I imagine that Nyx is gonna start moving soon. I mean, how do you feel about the way First Departure is playing this? Like, they're sitting back and trading farm with the Nyx Coddle for a Shadow Demon Sand King. They had that first early gank, which was successful, and they basically only focused their attention top, where the Anti-Mage is probably fine anyway. So do you like this, or should they be putting more pressure on the other lanes?
Well, the thing is, you know, they're leading 4-0 in kills, and they're still behind in gold. That is really, really strange to me. Like, of course, they actually lost the tower, that makes sense, but still, they could have done exactly the same, but applying more pressure if they had gone on hard lane, you know. They have a Shadow Fiend, Coddle, and a Nyx. They have nothing to fight with, really, if they go down there. And Anti-Mage would probably have around the same amount of farm. He would, maybe a bit less, but that doesn't matter, you know. A few minutes off or on with a Battle Fury is not really a big deal. And you would delay the SF farm completely. So I think it's basically just the lanes that could be placed differently. About the movement, I think it's okay. I guess since they played it like this, it's they've done really good by getting 4 kills. 3 of them is on Weaver though, but
it kind of reminds you of the old days in Chinese Dota back in 2010 with the try-carry strategy. It is sort of what we see this game with the Weaver, the OD, and the Shadow Fiend. You can gank one, you can shut down one, but at some point you got to be worried about shutting down at least 2, if not 3, and well, only the Weaver has really been shut down at all. OD's the 3rd highest farmer, Shadow Fiend's pretty much even with the Anti-Mage, and now Nyx is has an Invisor and actually not level 6.
he's actually going for BKB on SF. That's a bit...
yeah, he's got that Ogre Club.
I think that's the wrong choice.
Well,
But I don't know, I'm looking at like Zenith's lineup, and to me it doesn't look like they have a big plan with their picks. I don't know, this Weaver and OD and SF just seems really random to me.
It's almost like a pick more carries and hope the game goes late.
Yeah, and it actually seems to be working out because, in my opinion, they placed the lanes a bit weak. But
yeah, Miracle still doesn't have his Battle Fury yet. He will have it quite soon. And with the 2 towers going down, now they can really start pressuring. Boy, a Shadowblade would be great here, but Nyx is still not level 6 actually, and they're going for the skank anyway.
And again, BKB is also really strong against... they have so much stun and disable, and
they have a dead Lubby who just gets completely caught out. Now KSC is going to try to TP away. He knows the Impale is on cooldown, but what he didn't bank on is that Astral Imprisonment, so he looks to be dead. There's a disruption after the Imprisonment. It's the waiting game, but he's dead all the same. I mean, who needs level 6 on the Nyx or Shadowblade when you can just waltz all the way up through the enemy jungle and pick up some kills? It's really something First Departure should have seen coming with the tier 1 just dropping mid. And suddenly all these heroes off the map. But they even had the hill ward up, so... A little surprising they got caught out the way they did.
yeah.
Well, they're losing ground, Misery, and... I mean, what do you think you do at this point? They've lost... They're gonna lose all tier 3s. They don't have the late game. Are they screwed? Or do they have a plan?
No, they're not. They're actually still okay. I mean, they still have the Anti-Mage. They still have a great team fight. And their SF is going BKB, so it's not that bad. I feel like they should try and get some smoke ganks, try and push out the lanes. Just basically apply pressure on those first towers, because the bottom tower is under half HP and mid tower is around half HP, so if they can split push a bit, they will eventually take those towers down. They don't have to be that afraid of getting picked off. I mean, they're playing against the Weaver and the Coddle and OD and stuff like this. It's only Nyx they have to worry about.
And he is level 6 now. We haven't even seen his ult come into play, yet the towers are falling, and there's plates.
We just saw it bottom, but they failed to kill the Daxia.
But like, looks like I mixed that.
it should be Departure putting pressure on Zenith actually, because they have the stuns and the gang potential.
XY just force staffing in the Nyx, but the Impale was not there. They weren't quite on the same page with that. They still get the Impale out, but he's forced to run away. And Shadow Fiend just parked in the top lane with this BKB. They do have the Anti-Mage ult to cancel his TP if he tries to BKB TP out, but he's still very hard to kill. And just Yamate split pushing like a boss. I feel First Departure is making this rather easy for Zenith.
Yeah, I feel like that too. I mean, it all comes down to like the whole movements from like the laning phase. If you make wrong movements and wrong decisions in how you want to do things, then you end up in a hard situation. Like right now, I feel like they can't do anything because they had a Lysrex solo mid, and he can't do anything on his own really. They have pretty underleveled supporters compared to Zenith. And on the farm too, for that matter. They gave away SF Freeform, which is a hero that's really easy to pressure early on. And I don't know Weaver though. It seems like it could have been any hero. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah, I mean it was 4-0 at one point. Now it's 3-4. They got kills on the enemy safe lane, but they devoted so much attention to it. And there was actually a game in G League where this happened, where one of the teams just kept on ganking the enemy off lane. I think it was a Prophet, but meanwhile there was some ridiculous late game here. Here comes the BKB, Shadow Fiend ult. Nope, the disruption is there. Now the ult will be cast again, and KSC is gonna bite the dust. That early BKB does allow him to stand and fight like a man.
Yeah, that's true.
They're in danger of losing this, possibly this tier 2 top. They don't have a mech yet, but I don't know if they need it. When you look at First Departure's lineup, they're actually, the only real counter push they have is the Lightning from Leshrac, and he's afraid to stand anywhere
but
near the tower.
right now, for example, look top lane there. There are 4 heroes and there's a Weaver bottom. I feel like they could have easily gone on them right there when SF had no BKB. They still have vacuum level 3, sinking stuns, level 9 light Leshrac. Instead, they just choose to leave the lane completely, and yeah, I think it's just wrong movement.
It seems like they're almost just playing scared.
Yeah, it feels like they don't really know what to do after they came a bit behind early game.
Let me ask you, did you guys encounter that? Like, I mean, obviously you seem quite decisive recently, but I'm sure when you first started playing there had to be some hurdles along the way. So as a team, like, can you talk about that or what you did to deal with it?
Oh, well, we lost a shitload of games when we came. Actually, right when we came there, we won a lot of games with some bone fletchers and weird heroes, but eventually those heroes weren't the strongest. We found out about that, and then like we started losing a lot of games, and discussed everything, and had some had some problems with the team. But I mean, it was good losing, you know.
I mean, that's how you learn, and well, this is looking to be a lot of trouble for First Departure right now. Yamate's on a tear, all the carries are farmed. XY has that Astral Imprisonment, but not for a second or so more, so he's not going to get that additional kill. And Ice 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 just pushing the bottom lane, so it looks like first... I actually talked to Ice 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 before this game, and he said something very weird to me. Oh, what was it exactly? He said, I actually have a feeling we might lose, even though I think we'll win, which doesn't actually make any sense at all. But I think it's what he's basically saying is First Departure is a pretty strong team, but we're seeing the growing pains of a team that's going from sort of a community team and trying to play against more experienced professionals.
Dire's top tower
that sums it up pretty well, I think.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
So at this point, First Departure, they've lost all their outer towers on the top side of the map. They only have the tier 2 mid and bottom. They don't really have they don't have any core items up, not even the mech on the Darkseer, and we're 17 minutes in. The Leshrac went mid, but isn't that farm. Now, what do you do? I mean, maybe do you go for smoke ganks? What's your plan?
Yeah, I think smoking is a really good option here. I mean, they should just ignore that Weaver, in my opinion. He does nothing. Just try and pick off the Coddles, Nyx, and OD. It's gonna be hard for them to gank the SF unless they can chain stun him. But those 4 heroes, you see them sitting mid right now. They should just go together and let AM do his thing. He got his flats now, so he can even sit against Weaver. And he should just farm up, try and get his Manta style. Try and take out those tier 1 towers if he can. Meanwhile, his team should go as 4 and like anti-push and try and get some really easy kills, but it's not so easy now though.
He actually hasn't died. He's 1-0-2, and he's out farming the SF, or he was, but the tower gold and the additional kills and assists for the SF really paying off, and they are going to go on the Shadow Fiend bottom. Well, the one here you said would be very difficult to kill. That's the one. It seems like they're just reacting rather than...
He's gonna kill this now.
Oh, he's got a BKB. He could go in here. BKB and the ult. Nope, not gonna BKB or ult in the end. Thought about it.
He was stunned while being in this, so he couldn't do anything.
Well, there's just constant pressure, and now a big dive from the Weaver, who's just offering his life perhaps, but maybe it'll be a nice bait. Leshrac gets disrupted by the Astral Imprisonment. Now Ice Ice comes in, and they're just leaving this Leshrac to his fate. He's taking a lot of damage. Nope, now he's going to be able to run away towards the base. There's no points of wall yet.
He should be able to fight here. Look.
Darkseer's only level 2. The Sand King. Oh, that's a big OD. Sand King was just sitting in the base on the high ground. Did not come out to help at all.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Basically, all started out with miscommunication, disruptor. I mean, he used disruption on the Weaver and sinking stun through it.
And then they just split and head for the hills.
Yeah, and then they just went in.
Well, when you pick a hero like Sand King, you really want to be picking some fights and setting up that chain stone, especially with Leshrac on your team as well. That's what this lineup is good at, is setting up the early kills, certainly in the mid game. And we saw that one smoke gank they did mid. It worked great, but then they pretty much just stopped. The only hero they ganked was the Weaver, and even now when he's had a lot of free farm, you're still calling him pretty much useless and they can ignore him, which is fair, because he's just not a hero that is that scary unless he gets a lot of items, and he's nowhere near even his first big item.
Yeah, in this game right now, it's just a hero that just sits there in one lane and pushes out the lane, right? It could be potentially any hero, but Weaver is decent at this because he's like fairly hard to kill. He doesn't really have the biggest impact on the game, apart from the fact that he just sits there in the top lane or bottom, as we saw before, just pressures. But he's only allowed to do that now because they're so far behind, like Departure.
Yeah, and we saw the Nyx's movement and even the Shadow Fiend and just the gank train that came up from mid to top. They created a lot of space for that Weaver. They rotated him to the safe lane for a while and he got a lot of farm. Oh, WKZ. Just look at the Mana Burn. Almost kills him off instantly. Still is not Spike Carapace. Now Ice is going to run away. Uses the Vendetta. He's still sitting on a gem. There's a Sentry Ward here. And Kato recalls in the OD. Who has a Mystic still. Oh god, he's going to have a Hex soon.
Yeah.
Not much to say at this point. It's just...
Nah, it's gonna be pretty hard to come back. I mean, Shadow Fiend just soloed Roshan at 20 minutes in solo killing Daxia now. It's...
Yeah, nice Shadow Fiend control, but at the same time, he's really freaking fat.
Yeah, look at SD. He's not even 6 yet. It's just really hard for them to do anything at this point.
First Departure has actually beaten Zenith in a series before, so it's not that they're not capable of it, but we're just not seeing that here today. They're playing very tentatively. KSZ is about to get picked off. Shadow Fiend, Requiem beat channel. Yamate wants this kill. Will get... No, he disrupts himself with like 5 HP. Doesn't seem to matter. He'll die anyway. 2 heroes dead. And this feels like the end. Anti-Mage hasn't even reached the tier 1 top. He's not even going to be able to split push effectively because he's so... It just had so long to go. All the way from the base.
Dire's middle tower.
Oy vey. Sometimes games of Dota just seem like they come down to, you know, the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, it kind of does. I think it comes down to partly the picks and the way they lane the first 5 minutes. Like I said, like they were leading 4-0, but it just doesn't matter at all.
Yamate doesn't have the BKB, but he's got the Aegis. They're gonna fight this. There's Spike Carapace stun on Shadow Demon. Just one raise brings... It's basically... It's like a third of his health, easily, and that's hitting multiple heroes. And now they've got their core items, the multiple 4 stats, the Sight Device is pretty much out, and they're just gonna go high ground.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Not a care in the world.
Radiant's
Well, going into game 2, if you're First Departure, it seems like you want to get aggressive against them. Force them to not pick so greedily, or to punish them if they do.
Dire's middle tower.
Yeah. Well, if I was Departure, I would, like, if they end up with a lineup like this again, Zenith, I would definitely go trial lane offensive. No matter, like, basically with any 3 heroes, could win against those 3 heroes.
Even if it's a Riki and a Phantom Lancer.
Oh, okay, maybe that's crazy, but like any hero you would pick normally, those 3 heroes do it.
Of course.
Invisibility.
And I mean, Zenith is generally a greedy team. The way they play the heroes they pick, they're a very confident team. They're used to winning a lot in Southeast Asia. I feel just doing something to shake them, rattle them up a little bit is exactly what the Doctor ordered when you're up against them. Wow, that's a lot of damage. Requiem and the ODO, but actually only enough to kill off the Sand King, and that wasn't even really that combo.
Dire's middle barracks.
Well, it's enough to drive them back to the fountain, and now they work on the racks. Well, Misery, what do you think about your first taste of Southeast Asian Dota after playing so much in China?
Like from this game or what?
Well, yeah, I mean, just for this game, but I mean, if you've watched any other, then certainly from that.
I haven't seen any other game from this league, but to me, it just seems like it's just lower level than G League for sure. I mean, any of these teams would lose to almost any of these Chinese teams in G League if they picked and placed lanes like this.
Yeah, I mean, even MUFC, who picked a little bit more standard, had a lot of trouble in G League. Uh-oh, that's the Darkseer in a bad position. PTZ is probably going to fall. It's just the cleanup crew. Even Ice has a Manta style. He kills off the Sand Kid. He wants some more. WKZ's on the run. They've already gotten one lane of Rax. And I'm actually surprised First Departure hasn't even called GG at this point. They're down 20k gold. They don't have as many carries. They don't have a Rax mid. They can't really push out of their base. Anti-Mage has only gotten the tier on top. I guess they're probably talking about what they need to do differently for game 2 at this point.
Yeah, talking about what went wrong in this particular game, probably. But I don't know. Even if he gets this Manta on AM, I think he won't be able to do anything because first of all, he doesn't have treads, and they already have a Hex, and
yeah, they may actually kill him with the 6. Oh, he's gonna blink away.
I think OD can solo kill him at this point if he hexes him.
Yeah, of course that OD orb ignores armor and ignores magic resistance as it is pure damage, so it's very good against AM if OD gets the farm. Miracle.
Yeah, in a game like this, it's a pretty good counter to AM.
Yeah, you just don't expect OD to get this much farm. I mean, the reason we don't see him picked, right, is he doesn't normally get this much farm. He's a little bit too easy to gank, and he can't split push the way here like AM can.
Yeah, exactly.
So he can't pressure as much. But this game, they made it easy.
Now he might die though.
Nope. Nice 4-step away, but then he gets caught with the bro spin. Yeah, maybe he will die here. He's surrounded. And will Astral Imprison, setting up Yamate for a potentially big Requiem. The Requiem is going to be channeled. The OD will fall. No, he doesn't actually cast it. He's chasing the Shadow Demon. Not really a high priority target. In fact, they're just kind of falling apart in this fight. They give up 2 kills. We have a Butterfly almost complete on Shadow Fiend, but they get vacuumed together. There's your cleave. It's a nice stun. Yamate's got to bring the Anti-Mage down quickly. He actually is the lifesteal. And Anti-Mage will blink away. That was about as sloppy as a fight could get. And Zenith still winning just through sheer force of massive item advantage. Meanwhile, the Nyx picking off Miracle. You see that OD really chews through his armor. Or his lack thereof in this case. And one last kill for the cleanup crew. Ice, ice, ice. Yeah, let's dive him to our tier 1 while we could be pushing top. Why not? Let's get the kills. So, Misery, I'm actually curious, why do you think we're not seeing much jungle play out of a lot of the Southeast Asian teams? Like, even teams like Orange, where they have Extinct, who's a very experienced jungle player, ran it a lot at TI2, ran it a lot even after that. Teams that are experienced at it, we don't seem to see it out of, I mean, anyone, really. Outside of your team, there's just nobody in Asia who plays junglers right now.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why.
Is it, like, too risky if you're not coordinated enough, or?
No, I don't think it's that risky. I think it's just about the way your team plays. Like the way we use Chen or Inch or yeah, that's basically the junglers we use. The way we use those heroes is very different from what you used to use at least the Chen for. You know, we move a lot with that hero. It's basically a roaming hero. And other teams don't move as much. Like for example, these teams, they play safely in Dota, right? They sit and get some like levels on their Nyx and Coddle, and the enemy team does the same thing. They don't have to do anything. They just sit and pull waves. And
it's you know what it reminds me of? It's like did you ever play Brood War No Rush 20? It's like that. Basically in Brood War, you agree like you won't fight for 20 minutes and then you have your max army and then you go. It kind of feels like that in some of these fun,
kind of does.
safe lane Dota games.
It really does. But I'm not really sure why exactly. I can't. I think the hero like Chen and Inch are pretty OP actually. So I'm not really sure why teams don't use them.
And even when we see teams play them, I know some of the European teams do at least occasionally, but it's often just a very defensive Chen. You know, farm the quick, get the quick level 5 or 6, go push the enemy tier 1, tier 2 in the safe lane, get the mech, but it's, you know, it's not what you guys do, which is constant roaming and pressure on all the lanes. Well, guys, that wraps it up for Game 1, but this is a best out of 3. The last time First Departure faced off against Zenith, they took one of the series, they lost 2. They're on the brink of losing a 3rd. You're watching the SEA League. The winner of this match moves on to face Orange Esports in the Grand Finals, which will be tomorrow. I'm LD. He's Misery. If you enjoy his casting, even though he doesn't really use it, I'm going to bug him too. You should follow him at twitter.com/miserytheslayer. Stay tuned. Game 2 coming up soon.